Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of goLive. I'm your host, Rishabh, founder and CEO of GoML, a niche GenAI solutions provider. As part of the series, we bring in very interesting and challenging use cases that our customers have solved and taken to production when it comes to generative AI. I'm super excited for today's session because I've been joined in some by someone who's been in the industry for close to almost 30 years. He's been leading product teams across organizations like Sabre, Thomson Reuters, working with technology. He's been a technologist for almost close to 3 decades now, right? He's been working in the travel and the hospitality industry. And in his latest venture, he's been solving something very interesting, which is sustainability and safety in aviation. I'm happy to welcome Samar Khan, founder and CEO of TripAI. Samar, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't we get started with a quick introduction about you to our audience?
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. So I'll give a little bit introduction about myself. Based here in Dallas, Texas, for last 25 years, and my background has always been in aviation and travel. Extensive background in anything related to digital. You can think about any .com websites that pretty much in North America and Europe and Middle East, and a lot of flight operation. Anything where there's airline solutions, I've had the opportunity to work in. Samar Khan, based here in Dallas, Texas. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Summer. And what really probably intrigues me about this conversation is that, Summer, you've been in the industry, especially on the tech side, for almost close to 30 years now, right? And aviation is considered to be one of those areas where probably very niche sectors, or probably folks who either with billions of dollars of investments or probably insane amount of knowledge probably enter into, right?
There's a little bit blip. I actually didn't have the question. Was the sound had issues?
Yeah, Rishabh, we could not
We could not
hear
hear
you.
you.
So I'm really excited to have you over here. What really intrigues me about this conversation is that you've been a technologist for almost close to 30 years now, right? And what you've been now working on is probably amalgamating two of the most challenging pieces that we can think about in the 21st century, right? Which is one is aviation on the one side, right? Which anyways is considered to be a very, very challenging piece to handle for technologists. Uh, and then probably working on AI ML based solutions, and probably you're leveraging large language models in your latest venture, right? So first of all, what's your vision about TripAI, and how do you think probably something like technology can solve the sustainability and the safety issue that you're trying to solve in aviation?
Yeah, fantastic. So our really, what TripAI? We've been in doing AIML for almost four plus, actually five, close to 5 years. We formed the company in 2021, and our initial introduction was basically doing AIML in travel and hospitality. That's where we really got going very fast, building airline AI solutions in travel, hospitality, doing dynamic pricing. So that's what our introduction was. But at the end of the day, we really are heavy into airlines, right? And our vision for travel at Trip AI is that it becomes like a Swiss Army knife where we can bring data, solve different use cases. So if our core use cases that we solve right now, which is our heads down focus, is really around aviation, high fuel consumption, which is almost 30% of airlines' expense. Top expense, one of the top expenses is fuel consumption. So we surgically and scientifically are solving that problem, leveraging tons of millions of flights of data, and also looking at how we can impact airline bottom line. Right, 1 to 3% is really our pitch, where we can 3% being to large, big, older aircrafts. And then sustainability is something that is core to us, very passionate about solving sustainability, reducing the carbon footprint, measuring the carbon footprint. And in Europe and Middle East, engaging in a lot of projects where we can bring compliance and also automation using AI. But our vision really is to make TripAI platform a Swiss Army knife, where uh, initially it's focused on aviation, and aviation includes airlines, airports, MROs, which are maintenance repair organizations, and then the whole travel ecosystem. Travel means the B2B, B2C, but also the hotel and transportation space. That's really our vision. Be stronger, expand the platform. We have a software platform, millions of lines of code, extend it from beyond, aviation, core aviation around these issues into wherever there's data, we like to solve real problems. And then let me kind of go through yeah, go ahead. Um,
No, perfect, perfect. Thanks, Sama, for that. And I really like the Swiss Army knife, pitch that you actually probably built over here. And one of the things that probably listeners definitely love to hear about is that how are you envisioning? Because the biggest challenge that we are seeing in this industry is that everyone wants to leverage Gen AI and large language models, but obviously people are not able to probably identify the right use case, and probably most importantly, then probably inculcate the large language models into that use case, right? So
yeah.
how have you, or probably what was your, vision around leveraging something like LLMs into this challenging industry?
Yeah, our recent kind of product portfolio is all about large language models. So we have built AI algorithms that can solve different things. But at the moment, one of our core focus with large language models, especially agentic, is also bring all that information on the fingertips. So, right, one of the use cases we really do is end customers can query any information related to sustainability, any information related to aircraft data, any information related to um, personnel associated with an aircraft operation. So that's where we are really using large language models for chatbot like feature, but behind the chatbot is also our AI/ML algorithms. That's one of the use cases right here. In terms of chatbots and large language models in airlines, carbon emissions, I haven't seen many that can surgically or that can elaborately explain your carbon emissions, different scopes, different categories via chatbot like interface. That's one of the things that really is seeing a lot more adoption in our space. I think he froze. Are you there, Arun? We have to stop the recording.
Got it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Recording was on. It's fine. You
Okay,
can
so
continue. I'll edit it out.
okay, I'll start with the next question then. Someone that makes
Sure,
sense.
sure.
Yeah. So, thanks again, Sama, for that understanding, right? And as a technologist, obviously, you've been in industry again for more than 3 decades now. Technology, I'm pretty sure, comes to you naturally, right? Would love to probably hear some bits about how did the whole product that you're actually envisioning, right, move from a base product, or probably from an idea to probably something that now is so mature that's actually solving large language models, or probably is leveraging large language models to solve fuel aviation or fuel saving in aviation, which is probably the biggest stance, right? So love to probably hear a bit about that journey, and then
Yeah,
how your experience has been around that
yeah,
journey.
definitely. As you said, you've got multi-decade background, specifically in aircraft flight operations and anything around airline. So when we looked at some of the pain points, and this is almost like we've been on it for 4 years. We published some papers 2 years back, the impact of center of gravity, the impact of weight and balance on an aircraft optimization. So we have built applications in our past, and especially with Sabre for 100 plus airlines, right? So it comes with experience. And now, fast forward, like in the 20s, 2020s, or AI, ML, generative AI, right? That has just accelerated the whole looking at data, inferring decisions, and optimizing for business outcomes, right? So our goal was from idea to product. We're always builders. Right now, we're always building, but we're building for specific problem statements. We've built leverage a whole extensive software platform, which we envision doing many other things. From idea to we've always thought about that. What could we do with our experience, especially in aircraft operations? And then when we started thinking about 2 years back that, okay, how can we use traditional AI ML? First, we were traditional AI ML to look for optimization. And the optimization in airlines has been there, but still a lot more is supposed to be done. And that's where we really, as I said, the Swiss Army knife, you can see it on the screen. We can do pretty much the data is the oil of our platform and the use case. And then AI is the electricity. That's something I always say, that understanding the data, having the domain expertise, being able to decipher and dissect every part of airline operations, which we have done in the past, really led from idea to product, where we iterate through our product cycles with validation from aircraft pilots, from like-minded people who are forward thinking. But it has a lot to do that we've understood that what we are doing is in the right direction, but along the road from idea to vision, we've always validated with aircraft pilots. We've done white papers. We are working with universities in aviation research to further enhance and collaborate and look at opportunities to further improve our product space.
Brilliant, Samar. And I know you've been or we've been working together on a couple of interesting use cases, and we did an early project on how do we probably enable or how do we probably leverage these models to predict fuel savings, for the aircrafts, right? And then we're also discussing how do we probably expand this with a couple of airlines. You chose GoML and probably AWS as your stack to probably build on top of it, right? How has your experience and journey been till now?
Fantastic. I'm a big fan of AWS for the last 10 years. Done everything in AWS first, then everybody else. Just the natural affinity with AWS is very entrepreneurial. So everything I've done in the last 10 years, from airline space, Thomson Reuters, Capgemini, this venture, all been AWS. So there's a natural, I would say, there's a natural that I can get going with AWS. I've got a fantastic relationship with AWS teams that bring solutions quickly, so there's less bureaucracy. So that's one of the reasons. Big fan of AWS, continuing to do that, and then GoML, which is a preferred partner, which is a preferred AI partner. So when I went to AWS, that's the first thing that I realized: structured teams that can deliver consistent outcomes, right? So that's why I'm glad that connected with GoML, where I've seen initially the consistencies. The consistency is very important for our growth, where we are looking at not just the solution, the scale, the disaster recovery, the security. And that's something that I've done in last decade with AWS extensively. And my comfort level with teams like GoML are higher because they've done these same things in different industries, which is really smart thinking. Like, if I can solve scale, security, AI first kind of strategy in other industries, I bring that mindset. GoML team like GoML brings that mindset. Okay, we don't expect GoML to be the flight operation expert because that's what we are, but we expect GoML and to be consistent across these pillars, and that's why we chose GoML.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Samar, for that trust that you put on the team. And I hope probably we're building this partnership further. But that's what we love doing, right? We love working with agile, organizations like yourself, so that we can bring in the right expertise. And I think you put in brilliantly, right? That we bring in the right technology, you bring in the right business across, and we probably build the right amalgamation of a tech-led business or a tech-led solution out of that, right? One last question. Most of the founders that we have worked with, right, in this industry, and we probably spoke to close to 120, founders last year, I've struggled still to probably, move from that POC to production phase, right? And the reason is not because of the tech investments, etc., right? I mean, all of these are funded startups, and I'm pretty sure that that's not the challenge. The bigger challenge that we've actually seen is that they've not been able to define the right outcomes for each of these use cases that they've identified, because they still approach this as like a traditional ML project or a traditional AI project, rather than leveraging the right capabilities that large language models can bring in. But you've been quite successful in that space, right, Samad? You've identified a use case. You probably already build a niche on top of it. You've probably built that use case, and now you're taking it to probably some of the largest airlines across the globe, right? So what is that one advice you generally give to founders who are starting their journey, especially on the large language models side?
Yeah, the first, I always say the foundation is very important. Try to understand the data that you have access. The data, what does the data tells its own story. AI first thinking is very important, even for software development. One advice I would say: know what the problem you're solving. Don't bring just the AI solution. There's so many options. Teams like GoML can help accelerate. Know your data, know your problem statement, sleep on your problem statement, right? And at the end of the day, make sure when the product, an MVP, has a business outcome, like as I said, our one of the fuel use case, purely simple. We have the capability, we know it's in sight. $50 to $100 fuel saving using our solutions is very much in sight. And we've been on it. We've been living and breathing on it for almost a year plus. So that's my piece of advice. Know your data, know your problem statement. Don't just think that AI will come, but strategic thinking is very important. You Even in software development, I'm more like leaning more like AI driven software development. So that's the one advice. Know your problem statement, know your data, know the business outcome.
I totally agree. And a lot of times, what happens is that customers generally probably try to focus more on the tech layer and they totally ignore the data layer, right? So that's what some of we've been doing with our clients is through our
Yeah.
boilerplates module. We bring something which is probably ready to deploy, which probably solves the tech problem. And as you already know, we work with customers more on the data engineering and helping them probably build the right data to ingest into these models to probably bring in the right outcomes, right? Any final parting thoughts, Samar, you have for our listeners?
I think building for scale. So one thing in recent months, startups are hard. They are different. I came from very large corporates, learned a lot that enabled me to do what I'm doing right now. Parting thoughts: partner with. There's always strategic partnership, and always any companies I've led, I've always been a little bit faster. Startups are 10 times faster than what I've done in corporates, right? And it's basically you can wear many hats. My parting words are always that look at how you build alliances, partnerships that can get you there faster, right? That's It's all about partnerships and execution. Partnership, right partner, right mindset, right AI, cloud teams that can accelerate, and then the right kind of partner that they can take your business solutions, or they can partner with you to be that accelerator.
That was a brilliant thought. Samar, I really appreciate the partnership that you've actually trusted GoML and AWS with, right? And I'm super excited with what we are going to build, especially with the problem statement that we're trying to solve, which is close to everyone's heart. Everyone would love to probably make this sector the most or the safest sector possible. But at the same time, we'd also love to probably make this much more affordable for us, right? But thank you so much, Samar, for joining. And it was super exciting to probably talk to you today. And I'm looking forward to what we can build in this sector together. Thank you
Thank you
very much.
very much. Thanks for having me. Bye bye.
Brilliant. Thank you.